Forgive me for this little play on words, but how does a musical about a not very well-known founding father, told through rap music, grow up to be one of the most popular musicals of the decade? The concept seems destined for failure or obscurity. Think Newsies' pre-theatrical revival. But when we look at it, the reception from the public is something almost completely unheard of for a Broadway show with a few clips online, some positive press, and a largely unknown cast. Yet now we're seeing these actors become stars and develop their own followings. And online we're seeing tributes to the show through Twitter accounts, fan art, animatics, even shipping. All of this for a piece of media that can only be heard in full on the soundtrack, and only seen on stage at currently one theater in the whole world. Isn't that kind of amazing in this visually stimulated culture where the image means so much? It shows that people not only had the interest to look past the soundtrack to find pictures, videos, and bios of the people in the play, but also they were willing to use their imaginations to be inspired. I think a part of the reason for this success is just that the music is so damn good. I mean, the composer, lyricist, and star Lin-Manuel Miranda has clearly put in a lot of time to make this show perfect. There's almost a parallel between him and his Hamilton tirelessly working away, writing day and night to achieve something great. But beyond that, I think he managed to write very interesting, complex characters. Hamilton's story of overcoming adversity with only his ambition and intellect is so inspirational to me. We see how this obnoxious, arrogant young soldier can be so appealing to Washington, Angelica, Eliza, even Burr, not to mention the audience. Just like Game of Thrones, we see a similar kind of moral complexity with these characters. Just like the real figures in history, the characters in Hamilton are all painted in shades of gray that make their motivations understandable and relatable. Because of that, they're also more challenging and interesting to the audience. Thomas Jefferson is a great example of this because he represents beliefs that go against a lot of Hamilton's own, yet in many ways it's not clear who was right. Many of these debates are still going on today. And if you look at Jefferson, you see a very complicated picture of a man seemingly full of contradictions. This was the man who wrote All Men Are Created Equal, yet of all the founding fathers was probably the largest proponent of slavery. A man who represented the virtues of progress and Enlightenment thinking, yet refused to accept Hamilton's plan that would guarantee economic prosperity. Yet Jefferson is not a bad guy, and his arguments and point of view are never ignored. He has a point. Similarly, it might be very easy to make Aaron Burr your villain. Instead, the show goes out of its way to humanize him with songs like Wait For It, helping us to understand the burden of a man trying to live up to his family legacy. And speaking of legacy, the obsession of both Hamilton and Burr, we come to realize that both represent two sides of the same philosophy. They both have a hunger to succeed, to be considered worthy, to leave a legacy. And it's that ambition in the end that destroys both of them. They're each other's mirror image, and they represent some profound duality in all of us.
Are you Burr or are you Hamilton?
We're both. We're all both. That's the whole thing.
Hamilton's tenacity and Burr's patience are both valid in some ways. The choice is left to us who we want to emulate. This level of complexity is almost unprecedented in modern musical theater, and I think we can see based on the amount of success that this show's had that there's a real hunger for these kind of stories. Stories that present us with human characters that we feel like we know, and maybe even see ourselves in. Hey, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, Passailaigue Productions. But what do you think? Do you think Hamilton's success can be attributed to the great characters and the great songwriting? Do you think this show will change the way people write musicals? Will we start to see more of these complex and interesting characters? Leave a comment, let me know what you think.